Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the next topic in esophagus, that is paraesophageal, especially the rolling type of hiatus hernia. In the last interaction, as you already know, we have discussed the corrosive injuries to esophagus and drug induced injury to esophagus. Now, in this, let's start with the paraesophageal rolling hiatus hernia. As all of you know already, that basically this hiatus hernia, the esophageal opening near that, basically there are two types, the rolling type and the sliding type. Sliding type hernia management we have already discussed with the management of gastroesophageal reflux disease. Now we'll basically focus in this interaction over the rolling type paraesophageal hiatus hernia. Now just try to understand the basic concept, the difference between rolling type and sliding type. In sliding type, the cardia of the stomach, it slides into the chest, whereas in true paraesophageal hernias, the rolling type, the cardia remains its normal anatomical position. It doesn't go inside the thoracic cavity. It remains at its normal position in rolling type. And that's why it is also known as paraesophageal. Just by the side of the esophagus, it is entering the thoracic cavity. That's why paraesophageal. And true variety is very rare, where this cardia remains in its normal position. So if it is rare, what is the common type of rolling hernia? Yes, it's mixed type of hernias. And in mixed type of rolling hernias, what happens is that cardia is displaced into the chest, number one point, followed by the content, the organ, most commonly the stomach, the greater curvature, it rolls into the mediastinum. This is the commoner variety of rolling type of hernia, paraesophageal. As far as the other contents, the possible contents of this rolling hiatus hernia is concerned, it could be whole of the stomach sometimes, the colon, the transverse colon especially, the small intestine. These are the other contents, possible contents that we may find inside the chest sometimes. Now these type of paraesophageal rolling hiatus hernia, the most common age group is elderly people. This is most common in elderly people. But yes, they may occur in young, otherwise fit people. Yes, we can see this type of, especially the mixed type, rolling hiatus hernia. But most common in elderly population. And this is a very important point. It is almost always associated with, especially this rolling type, almost always associated with volvulus. Means there is an element of rotation based on its axis, the content axis. There is volvulus. As the stomach rolls up into the chest, it may present as a volvulus of the stomach as content. Almost always associated. And that's why This is potentially dangerous to the patient. Rolling type hiatus hernia. This is the reason why it is dangerous for the patient, the presence of volvulus. Now, as far as the symptoms are concerned of this rolling hernia, all the symptoms, most of the symptoms in fact, they arise because of twisting and distortion of esophagus followed by stomach. And yes, sometimes due to the torsion of or twisting of the transverse colon or small intestine. The patient will complain of various symptoms due to this fact. Difficulty in swallowing, that is dysphagia, is very common in these type of patients. Sometimes the patient may present to us with chest pain, and this chest pain is because of obstructed stomach and its distension. Now stomach is forming a volvulus, obstructed, and is being distended, and it will lead to compression, mediastinal compression, and other associated factors may give rise to chest pain. So presentation of rolling hiatus hernia paraesophageal patient may present as chest pain. One of the differential diagnoses, yes, myocardial infarction. So we must rule out cardiac causes. In this rolling hiatus hernia, this chest pain is classically, this is very classical of this rolling hiatus hernia. To differentiate clinically between MI and this hiatus hernia, it is classically the pain is relieved by a loud belch, and that is not seen in myocardial infarction. One of the differentiating feature. These patients may present with various gastroesophageal reflux disease symptoms, what we have already discussed. And if the patient is presenting with a complication associated with this hiatus hernia rolling type, the complications could be the strangulation of the content organ, gastric perforation features, mediastinitis, gangrene, features of septicemia. All these can be seen as a complicated case. This, kindly remember these complications, because complicated case and asymptomatic case, they are going to change our management plan. Now, as far as the investigations are concerned, investigating a patient of suspected paraesophageal hiatus hernia rolling type, we obviously will go for routine blood investigations to rule out any comorbid conditions associated with it, ECG, electrocardiography, X-ray chest, very important. Routinely we are going to do these basic investigation for any surgery, but in this rolling type hiatus hernia, this plain radiograph of chest is very important, and hernia is visible as a gas bubble with a fluid level just behind the heart. This is a classical of this hiatus hernia. Barium meal investigation is the best method of diagnosis in these type of patients. Remember this. It can very well delineate the twisted organ, the obstructed organ, or the content of the organ inside the chest. The barium meal, best method of diagnosis. As far as the endoscopy is concerned, sometimes this endoscopic appearances, these may be confusing. Why? Because in large hernias especially, it's very easy for an endoscopist to become disoriented, confused, where to go, and so endoscopy is not of much help in these type of patients in diagnosing this condition. So remember, barium meal is the best method of diagnosis. Now let's come to the management part. Rolling hiatus hernia, rolling type, paraesophageal. Now there are basically two types of patient for managing this hernia. First one is asymptomatic patient and second one is symptomatic patients. Now in asymptomatic patient, when a rolling hiatus hernia is discovered incidentally, if the patient has presented to us for something else and during the management of that particular condition, we have incidentally diagnosed on endoscopy or during barium studies or during X-ray chest, we have diagnosed a rolling hiatus hernia. Otherwise, patient is asymptomatic. No symptoms are there related to rolling hiatus hernia. What to do in these type of patients? The management differs from a symptomatic one. Why? Because risk of complication is almost less than 1% in patients who are asymptomatic. Whereas in symptomatic rolling hernias, they almost always require surgical repair as they are potentially dangerous. As already told you, the various complications of these type of patients suffering from rolling hiatus hernia if untreated. So in asymptomatic rolling hiatus hernia, just observation, don't do anything. But if the patient is presenting as an emergency with acute chest pain, obviously you are going to rule out other causes of acute chest pain, especially the cardiac cause, followed by the other gastric causes, gastric ulcer, duodenal ulcer, sometimes, followed by this barium study if other symptoms are favoring hiatus hernia, and if that is suggestive of rolling hiatus hernia, now patient is presenting to you in emergency with acute chest pain. Diagnosis now confirmed, presenting with acute chest pain. So first, put a nasogastric tube, Ryle's tube, to relieve the distension of the stomach that causes pain. The first thing, put a Ryle's tube. Followed by, now consider the patient for surgical repair. Why surgical repair? Because it's a symptomatic patient and presenting in emergency with acute chest pain. Means some complications could be associated with this type of presentation. So don't wait, go for a surgical repair. If you have already inserted the Ryle's tube and still the pain is not being relieved, or if you are suspecting a perforation on imaging study or clinically, then immediate operation is mandatory. It's not an option. You will have to go for surgical intervention. Now, emergency surgery for hiatus hernia rolling type, basically what type of operation we are going to do, it depends upon the problem what we have encountered in a particular patient, and followed by whether the patient is fit for surgery or not, because it's a complicated surgery, especially if the patient is presenting with some complication of hiatus hernia. So fitness of the patient is required. Whereas this elective surgery, if you are planning for elective surgery of the patient, there is no emergency. In elective surgery, there are especially 4 important things. What we are going to do, these are the basic steps we are discussing for you. In elective surgery for hiatus hernia, the first thing is reduction of hernia, followed by excision of the sac, followed by crural defect repair, so that we can retain the stomach in the abdomen. So first two things are very common, as we have already seen in the management of inguinal hernia. We are going to do the same thing. The reduction of hernia followed by excision of sac, right? But in this rolling hiatus hernia, another two steps we are adding to it. We will have to repair the diaphragmatic crural defect by sutures, or sometimes, yes, we can use mesh so that the stomach is to be retained inside the abdomen. Now, for retaining the stomach inside the abdomen, as a part of this hiatus hernia repair rolling type paraesophageal, one of the important procedure is fundoplication, what we have discussed in gastroesophageal reflux disease. If you want, you can go back to that gastroesophageal reflux disease interaction for fundoplication. Now, there are two school of thoughts in the management of hiatus hernia, especially for fundoplication. One is saying yes, we should go for fundoplication. And what are the reasons? Why should we go for this fundoplication in these type of patients? Because it's very effective means of maintaining the reduction of the content inside the abdominal cavity. For maintaining the stomach or the colon or the small intestine, whatever the content is, inside the peritoneal cavity. Second important thing is why we should go for fundoplication is this fundoplication, it also corrects the associated GORD if it is associated with GORD. One school of thought. The second one is saying that fundoplication should only be done if reflux, the gastroesophageal reflux, it can be demonstrated beforehand, before planning for definitive surgery of hiatus hernia. If we have diagnosed the case that yes, it is associated with reflux disease, then only fundoplication should be done. Otherwise, don't do fundoplication. And surprisingly, the best thing is both the school of thoughts, they achieve good results. So it's your choice. Whatever you want, you can go for it. Both are having the good results. Nowadays, there are two options, the open repair and laparoscopic repair. Nowadays, laparoscopic repair is recently very much popular. But the only thing important in this laparoscopic repair is that more expertise is required as compared to open surgery. And sometimes it's very difficult to repair the anatomical repair. The full anatomical repair is very difficult to do, especially in a large rolling type hernia. This is one of the important things. The expertise is required during laparoscopic repair. And for secure closure of the hiatal defect, the crural defect, yes, as already told you, we can use the mesh, the non-absorbable mesh, to reinforce the repair. Various meshes you already know. For example, polypropylene mesh, the dual mesh, so many types of mesh. Sometimes I will try to put another video for different types of processes or mesh material later on. So as far as the important thing in rolling hiatus hernia management is concerned, that emergency presentation of patients, the mortality increases. If patient is presenting with any associated complication, mortality is going to be high. And what are the reasons why mortality is going to be high? The first thing is, if it is associated with complications, means late diagnosis we have made, or even the patient is presenting to us at a later time, late presentation is there. All these things may lead to late diagnosis of the patient. Second reason could be, usually these type of cases, they are usually present in elderly age group, and elderly patients generally, they do not tolerate the surgery adequately. So yes, good mortality could be towards the higher side in this age group when compared to an adult. And these type of patients may be associated with maybe having some comorbid conditions also, like hypertension, diabetes, the comorbid diseases. Yes, again, poor results. And finally, the complexity of surgery involved in the management of rolling hiatus hernia, especially if it is associated with some complications. So these are the 4 reasons where we are going to have a high mortality if the patient is presenting to us in emergency condition. So what is the take home message? Take home message in the management of paraesophageal rolling type of hernia is, if the patient is symptomatic, surgical repair. This is the only option. Don't wait. No conservative management. No if and but. Only thing is surgical repair. If the patient is symptomatic and you have diagnosed the patient as a case of paraesophageal rolling type hiatus hernia, only answer is surgical repair. Plan for surgery and as soon as possible just go for it. So thank you. Any question you can write to me. And this is all for this session. Thank you so much.